Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1309, written by vulpesvulpex, the terrifying storm that warped time. I lived in a safe town, so when I was young, I could freely go out and play all day as long as I came home by dark or by the time the streetlights came on. It was summer, so it was probably close to 9 p.m. when I came home. Anyways, I left in the morning to hang out with a few friends at a park in the north side of town. Rode our bikes, got candy at Casey's, a gas station popular in the Midwest, just hung out and nothing exciting. Midday approached and we were hungry. We go to someone's house and eat, and by then a storm rolls in. In the summer, you know how fast and dark a storm can come in, but it just had a different energy to it, like it was going to be a terrible storm. My parents' friend basically told us to stay there for a few more hours to let the storm pass or go home, because it looked pretty bad out. I passed on that offer. They had like 7 of their own kids, plus like 5 or 6 of us. Screw that. So I got on my bike and took the long way home, through the south side and down towards the very southern tip of town where the public school, a creek, and the less loved park in town was. It's pretty to drive through, and the storm really set the mood. After that, nothing. I wake up in the grass and it's dark. It's raining like hell, wind whipping hard as crap. I'm soaked and freezing, so cold I can barely stand up and grab my bike that was next to me. I wasn't cut up like I had fallen off and bonked my head. I feel totally fine, besides the bone chill I had going on. My bike is fine, just wet. My shoes weren't even dirty. All my clothes were intact and just wet, not even muddy considering I was lying on the grass. After the shock, I got up and went home, getting pelted by cold rain and tiny bits of hail. How I didn't wake up from the storm really scares me the most because it was a crazy thunderstorm, just intensely loud the entire way home. The park was a 5-minute ride from my house, and when I got home, it was almost 9. I left my friend's house at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Case notes of file 1309, the terrifying storm that warped time. We have space-time portals, and those seem stable and contained. But if you're going to affect time, you need a ton of energy. Could an actual thunderstorm, lightning storm, generate enough energy to warp time? Well, in this story, apparently yes. But why only you? Did anyone else report the same thing? And you passed out, and literally were in the rain. You were so out of it, conked out, to such an extent that you actually remained unconscious in the rain, in the freezing cold superstorm, for, hours? And it's not like you suffered from anything else long-term affecting you if you're knocked out for that extent of time. Makes me wonder. It's not like you were hit by a lightning bolt, or maybe you were. Can that knock you out? I think it does. People pass out from that, although you would have evidence, right, on your... Maybe you were grazed by it, so your clothes wouldn't be singed or anything. People report like if they're hit by lightning directly, even their hairs are singed, everywhere on their body and their hair. I mean, it makes sense. It's lightning. It's a lot of electricity and energy and heat. So what if being hit or struck nearby by lightning or directly by it could actually create enough energy to rip apart space-time? Maybe that's why we feel so charged and concerned. Whenever a lightning storm is around, I cannot be outside. I can't do it. I love rain. That's fine. But if I see a bolt of lightning in the sky, even though there's no thunder, so it's pretty far away, I'm just booking back inside, even if I'm on a walk. Just pace in my room instead. Even though the odds of it impacting me directly are so low. There's something about it, right? I'm sure other people feel the same way. Maybe there is some kind of charge in lightning that is strong enough to even distort time itself. That's a thought. Case file number 1310. Written by RandomHeadful, Marine's chilling night on guard duty. My son was a Marine stationed in the Middle East. They happened to be doing an exercise in Jordan with the Jordanian army and were camping out in the middle of the desert. One night, my son was on guard duty with another Marine and near the end of his shift was sent back to camp to wake up the 2 guys whose turn it was. On the way back, which was about a mile, he started seeing black shadows out of his peripheral view, darting back and forth. Then he heard loud whispering in a language he couldn't understand. In the distance was a mountain range, which was in an unpopulated area, out in the middle of the desert. There are no cars or trucks or other vehicles. The only population nearby was a Bedouin tribe, but they didn't use motor vehicles. They traveled by camel. So that's why my son was really shocked to see lights in the distance. His logical mind tried to tell him that it was cars and trucks, but he knew that it couldn't be the case. The lights were also traveling in directions like straight up or straight down that a car couldn't do. Meanwhile, the dark shadows and whispers got worse. When he arrived at camp, he was absolutely fear-stricken. He woke the guys, then went to bed. The next morning, he asked the rest of the guys who had duty the night before if they'd seen or heard any of the stuff. They all had experienced it, the voices, the shadows, and the lights. They were all terrified. So my son decided to make a Ouija board out of cardboard, and they asked it questions. At some point, the Ouija board told them, "Get out." So my son went out into the desert and buried it. The next morning, he woke up and the Ouija board was outside his tent. No one claimed it as a joke, and it was impossible anyway because no one saw where he buried it. To this day, he gets freaked out talking about it. He's not the type of person who believes in ghosts or such things, but after talking to guys in the Jordanian army, he's convinced they witnessed a jinn. Case also file 1310. A Marine's chilling night on guard duty. Yeah, the jinn, maybe. That would be a local thought. Yeah, they're not genies. They don't just grant you wish and emerge from a lamp or anything like that. No. Could be an association with aliens, because of course the lights in the sky definitely make me think about aliens, but then the whispers. That's a new one, not associated with aliens at all. So, if aliens exist, I think they can be confused. For orbs in the sky, we have orbs that are probably spiritual, is my guess. Ball lightning, as it's referred to. And those could move fast, although generally they move slowly. But if there's enough concentration, maybe they have enough energy to zip around very quickly. And then they'd be blue light, which most headlights now are blue light, so you could easily confuse it for thinking it would be a car or truck. Even though, as you say, it can't be. In that area, they're not around. The other possibility, though, is that aliens are known to connect directly with the mind. Now, my theory is that some minds maybe have a defense mechanism built in, and they reject it. So instead of interfacing directly with the alien, telepathically, your mind is producing all these kind of weird uncertainties like the whispers and shadows that you see. The lights probably already were there if this is aliens, but the interface connection wasn't correct. It's like when you try to connect via Bluetooth to your phone, sometimes it doesn't connect properly. And if you try to listen to songs with it, the audio is all distorted. Or maybe one ear isn't connected properly. So something like that. If there's a telepathic link, it has to be formed first, forged, connected to. And I think some brains probably resist this. Which makes sense. That'd be a good defense mechanism. If it's an unsavory connection. Bonus file written by Anonymous. The Mysterious Woman by the River. When I was in high school, me and some friends went down to the river at night. We lived in a super rural area in the southeast, so we had the place to ourselves. It was just the 9 of us. We were also completely sober. We're all playing music and splashing around when we realized there was a 10th person in the water with us. She was a little farther out than us, but close enough that we could see that she was white with dark hair. If it wasn't for the fact that the only way to get to the spot we were in was to drive there, which we would have obviously seen, or by boat, none of us would have thought twice about seeing her. Some of my friends tried talking to her, but she didn't say anything, but made a motion for us to join her deeper in the water, which made us nope the hell out immediately. As soon as we were all on the shore, she went under the water and we didn't see her again. I'm still in touch with a couple of the people that were there, and it always comes up in conversation. To this day, when I visit family who's still in the area, seeing the river after dark gives me chills. Case out to the bonus file, The Mysterious Woman by the River. Kinda sounds like a siren, or a mermaid. One of those creatures that is in water, bodies of water, and wants to pull you down with them. But do those really exist? Maybe not in this universe. So everyone saw her. She had to be materialized enough to be real. I don't think it was a spirit that did this. And it couldn't be, right? Because the spirit would be in the water, and you would see the ripples of water around her as she moved around. If she was a spirit, there would be no rippling. So no, this was a real person. Now, it could also just be a pretty strange girl that just walked to the river and was, I don't know, maybe not even pranking, just wanting to form like a connection. Could have mermaids or very strange women. Now time for the quote of the day. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more of it I have. Thomas Jefferson. So what is the definition of luck? Because a lot of people say luck doesn't exist, but that's not right. It's just about understanding what luck even means. Luck is simply things that are out of our control or unpredictable. So what would you say luck is? If you flip a coin, technically, if you knew the exact amount of energy imparted into the coin and the air density in the room, you could predict with 100% certainty how the coin would land, which head would be head or tails. But of course, we don't have access to that information, so it's unknowable. Completely unknowable. Anything randomized is just unknowable information, but that's luck. Luck isn't some random arbitrary decision by some, god or anything, or at least to our extent that we know it's not. It's just the absence of information, or uncontrollable factors. And those exist, but here's the great thing. Luck has a way of evening out over long periods of time. For instance, technically, if you flip a coin, you could get heads or tails 50 times in a row. That's real luck. People think of that as a pattern, but not really. Luck is just entirely random. But over time, if you flip a coin 50 times, it could be heads 50 times in a row. But if you do it 1,000,000 times, the odds that it'd be 1,000,000 times in a row would be statistically zero. The more you play the game of life, and the more you actively participate in it, instead of letting it happen to you, even though you may get streaks of really bad luck, it does happen. No one's discounting that. Over the stretch of a lifetime, of years and decades, you can make good things happen just by continuously stepping on the pedal and never letting up. Still, try to stay within the speed limit. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.